Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of I Call Top Bunk Podcast. I am your host, Fluff, and you will notice with today's episode, it's going to be slightly different from the norm. I am missing my ever handsome and adorable co-host, Hans, as at the time of filming, he was on the Emo's Not Dead cruise and playing really catchy emo music in the middle of the Caribbean on a cruise ship. So that is why I myself hang out with today's guest, Will Deely from the mighty Beartooth. Will's always a good time. He's a friend of mine, and he was in town and right down the street from the podcasting studio. I thought what a great opportunity it would be to catch up with him. And I feel like we captured some of that energy that is Will. Will is a multifaceted musician, person, he also has really great hair. He's just a really good time. And without further ado, I hope you enjoy Will Deely from Beartooth on I Call Top Bunk.
Check. We're live.
I mean, we are recording right
We're ready
now.
to start this at any moment.
We're ready to start. I mean, I'm ready.
Cool.
Unless you're ready.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Will, we are here. Basically, we're hanging out in Seattle.
We are hanging.
You are hanging out in Seattle. I don't normally hang out in Seattle, but lately I'm like 45 minutes south.
Wow, this is a special trip.
And well, you're a special guy. We're here filming an episode of I Call Top Bunk. And we are without my co-host, my wonderfully handsome co-host, Hans, because he's playing on a cruise. And you know about cruises.
Just did one.
And how was that?
It was generally good.
Was there any rock, like not rocking, but was there any rocking?
There was. It was pretty rough, honestly. There was a lot of storms and stuff. And I hate to really throw the cruise line under the bus, but
Oh my God.
We were like stranded in Jamaica for an afternoon because the boat kind of like rammed into the dock and it was, kind of messed up. But yeah.
Oh boy.
So it was eventful. But overall pretty good. Throwing a cruise in the middle of this is a 9-week tour that we're on for the viewers at home. We're on the Seattle stop of our big full US, a little bit of Canada tour. And we are starting week 7 this last couple days, and that was about week 4. So,
oh man,
yeah. So it was a lot of it's been a long road, and that's like a kind of a weird thing to you kind of get into like a groove on tour, and then you just yank yourself out of that rhythm and throw yourself on a cruise ship, which sometimes is like you're chilling, it's fun, and other times it's you're just in that world.
Are you the kind of guy to take vacations on and take a cruise in your personal life? I'm not a cruise.
I'm not a cruise vacationer.
I've never been on a cruise.
Yeah, I've only been on 2 cruises and it's been the same one. But I'm not so much a cruise guy. Like I like the destinations better, like chilling somewhere and kind of whatever. But an interesting experience regardless. That
is nuts. So at any point on any of the shows, because you're playing every night
we played just twice.
Just twice.
It was a 6-day cruise, and we were the first band to play, to kick it off, and then we were one of the last bands to play.
At any time when you're playing on a cruise ship, did it ever get like a little does your pedal board ever I'm having visions of like your pedal board going? You're like
yeah. Fortunately for us, it wasn't like. The water wasn't too crazy. Like I said, we were the first ones. We were just leaving the dock, so it's smooth. But the thing that tripped me out, because you're playing outside, and you know that you're leaving at some point while you're playing in that slot anyway.
What?
But we start playing, and then you look outside, and you don't feel like you're moving, and you look up and you see like the buildings passing in. You're like, whoa, that's tripping me out. But we saw we watched Dayseeker play their first set on the second day, and it was a little rougher. And they're playing inside, and you can feel the boat rocking. And the funny thing is, and they killed it. All of that considered, they're like, I'm like, dude, I'd be feeling a certain way up there because you're like, it's really going.
Yeah.
And but we're watching from the back of the crowd, and you can kind of see the entire crowd they sway with the boat. So it's kind of like. Ever played Nintendo Wii where that's the Wii people and they're all doing the same thing? It's kind of, I don't know, weird, but
gives a whole new meaning to doing the wave. Am I right?
Yeah, totally.
Oh God.
Yeah, no, but it was cool. It's just one of those random, unique opportunities to say that you played somewhere in the middle of the ocean. So
yeah, that's wild. Like I see gigs like that and I automatically think like, does your guitar rig change? Probably not at this point, right? Because you're all quad cortex.
right.
But,
No.
like, how do they power that? Like, how are they powering, and like logistically, where are they storing the gear? And like, do you like? I imagine some bands have to really tone it down.
Yeah, I think fortunately we were like up there on the billing of it, so I think we had a lot more like freedom with what we could bring. I know in years past, like the band has had to they just have like a ton of backline stuff.
Right.
But what's funny is you see it where it's stored, and it's just like in various decks. Like there's just like you look outside, there's like a bunch of folded beach chairs, just like that are like facing the outside of the boat, and then there's just road cases like.
Yeah, there's Lamb of God stuff. Oh, cool.
yeah, pretty much.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, they drain like the main pool to like put a stage on it. So, which is unique. But
and do you have to worry about like? I wonder. And this is not a question for you unless you are an engineer of some sort. But like, do they have to worry about weight distribution? Because some of that stuff is crazy heavy.
I'm sure somebody worries about it.
I'm sure somebody does.
Yeah.
Because those boats are massive.
They are, dude. They're definitely big.
That's nuts. Okay.
So yeah.
You're a world traveling cruise playing guitar player. Mm-hmm. I want to know. Okay, we've been friends for several years. How did you get started playing guitar? I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
I
guess
like all the way back.
Our paths combined kind of here towards this point rather than like all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I grew up in like the suburbs of Columbus, and my parents got divorced, and my dad remarried, and my older stepbrother was a skateboarding punk, and I thought he was awesome. So, I basically was like, he played guitar and you know, so, and just listened to cool bands. Like he's huge Green Day, 90s punk, No Effects.
Of course.
And then at that point it was like Drive Through Records era stuff. So
good stuff.
All this angsty, fast, down picking, crazy shit. And skateboarding, of course. So that's how I got into it, in short.
Okay.
So I was 10 years old when that happened. So
oh, well, you started pretty young then.
Yeah, I'd say so. Okay. Yeah, I guess.
And were there specific albums that made you just go, okay, I want to play guitar. Like that's it. I'm doing it.
Well, specific album. I mean, I would say this. My dad is such a rock and roll influenced guy. Mm-hmm. He's not a musician or anything, but like growing up, his favorite band was Van Halen. So
mine too.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
First 4 records. On constant
amazing.
Repeat.
Yeah. So he like, and this is before I even played guitar, but it was like that was like going to baseball practice, listening to Guns N' Roses and Van Halen and shit. So
of course.
So even before looking up to like guitar heroes, it was like rock and roll was playing,
That's awesome.
And then kind of in my own personal journey, when I was like, I'm 30 now. So in like 2000, early 2000s, like when I'm just kind of getting in like middle school,
sure.
I like, me and my friends like loved Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory.
How could you not?
Yeah, it's that era of stuff. And then also like Blink-182 and Green Day. That was like, it's kind of like a wider scope of rock music, but
interesting.
Yeah. So like those like I literally, like me and my friend were just talking, my old roommate that I've known for 25 years now. We were talking about like the first time we hung out like on the playground. He was like, dude, all you were doing was just quoting Linkin Park to me. I was like, I don't remember that, but that's awesome.
This is really just crawling in my skin.
Yeah.
Okay, stop.
Yeah. So I mean, I got really, especially then like meeting my older stepbrother, he was more into like the punk stuff, and since he was teaching me guitar, those are the stuff that he's teaching me. He tunes his guitar by playing the riff to Damn It, So that's like one of the first riffs that I learned.
We all did that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. So that's kind of like where it started, and that combined with like skateboarding and all of that sort of.
Wow. So you were started in it in Ohio.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
And that was just so where did you make the leap from okay, I'm playing guitar, like all these things, like all this music, to actually like being in a band? Did you start a band? Did you join a band?
Yeah. Well, so my older brother he had local bands and stuff, and like that was cool. Like I'd go to see him play, and they had this whole like local scene of bands. And fortunately, like a couple of my now long-term, lifelong best friends, like were getting into playing music then. So like I had a buddy that was a drummer that I've known since 4th grade that I played with forever. And it was the same thing. We just had older siblings that were into cool music, so we were like passed down all of this stuff.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about. But so we started bands when we were in like 6th grade, like 12 years old, and we're playing at like the talent show, or we played at like a pizza shop that like our parents would let us, and just playing in the basement and stuff like that. So yeah, I played in like kind of like punk rock bands that were like, we emulated like kind of some of the post-hardcore stuff sometimes, and then like the pop punk stuff sometimes, and
that's amazing.
Covering everybody, like whatever, playing our friends' birthday parties and stuff. Yeah.
The fact that you had a drummer, I mean, I remember like that being the make or break for literally any band. So everyone knew like the 1 or 2 drummers, and they were in like 8 bands.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
the fact
absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, we were lucky because, and it also comes with the parents of the drummer they put up with us coming over and setting all our stuff up and sucking at ungodly volumes for hours and hours and hours.
Right.
So yeah, so fortunately I had like a group of friends that, we all loved music and loved the same kinds of music, like the punk rock stuff and all that. So that was like kind of, my scene locally, like in the suburbs. And then like as we got older, like older teenage years and high school and stuff, we started playing in Columbus, where kind of honestly where I met, some guys that are now, I play in Beartooth, what I mean? So, that was kind of like my foray into the scene, I guess. Yeah.
All from the same melting pot.
Kind of, yeah, loosely. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, cause Zach, he was playing in a band that practiced I'm from this suburb called Pickerington, and one of his earlier bands practiced there across the street from where my little band would practice, and we would like see it,
Right.
So
right.
Yeah. Kind of strange how that works out.
At what point did you start thinking about, so I don't want to out you, but you have solo material and you are a multi-instrumentalist.
A bit, I guess. Yeah.
You are. So when we were on tour, I don't remember how, I don't think you told anybody, but I remember Hans finding some of your stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. We were like, wait, what? And he was like, yeah, and it's good. Wow. And we were like, stop. So we put it on the stereo. We had some long god awful drive or whatever, and like we went through like all your YouTube videos.
Oh wow!
And like,
I didn't realize the dive was this deep.
Yeah. And we had what was it? It was a Wallflowers.
Yeah.
Song.
That's like probably a top 3 song for me.
Killer.
Oh, thanks, dude.
So at what point do you make the transition from punk bands, riffy, big rock stuff to picking up an acoustic guitar and singing?
Yeah.
And you also play piano. You seem to, or at least you fake it real well.
I can fake it okay. Not really though.
Okay.
I don't pull out a piano. I'm not going to play you anything. But
play me Mozart.
Yeah, you know, if you sit at one long enough and you can figure out where the notes are, whatever. It's something I wish I got into.
Same.
But yeah, it's an interesting twist to the story there, because I grow up and play in all these like pop punk bands, kind of like anything in like that kind of world, I guess. Like
yeah.
Metalcore, local bands, whatever, all that stuff. And then kind of as high school is ending, all of my music friends are also, this is going to sound uncharacteristic, but they were all really good in school, and I was like kind of like not really applying myself. Yeah, like they've made great lives for themselves.
They're all getting scholarships.
They're coming up with that next step, right? And then for me, it was a little more, I wasn't really sure exactly what the next step was. I was considering going to school and all that. Anyway, after high school, everyone kind of goes away to college. I went to like a trade school for audio, which was cool. It's they have a program in Ohio called the Recording Workshop. It's in Chillicothe, which is like the middle of nowhere. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
No.
A lot of people go there. It's cool. It's like 9 weeks long, and it's literally you're just in a studio for 12 hours a day.
Is this learning the fundamentals of...
Yeah, just like signal flow, and just really you can go from not knowing anything to at least getting it to work, you know?
Okay.
So it was cool, especially since I didn't really know anyone to teach me that kind of stuff back then. So, and it was something for me to do that my parents were like, because my parents have always been supportive, but they're like, all right, well, do whatever you want to do, but you got to do it. Like, you got to...
Also, how are you going to pay your bills when you move out, which you will do?
Right. Well, they just like, hey, man, like, whatever your path is, cool. Just go after it. You know what I mean? It's not just like, don't just like...
Don't half-ass it.
Yeah, don't half-ass it and just like expect to just sit around in the basement all day or whatever. So I did that, and then, but there was... In that time, there was a guy that I grew up with who was kind of like at the time, like an up and coming like pop singing guy. And he was playing music very seriously, had a lot of cool things happening at the time, playing big shows and stuff, and he needed a guitar player. And so I was like, I will literally play any kind of music. I don't care.
Sure.
And so,
right attitude.
But that gig was like really huge for me because it developed a lot of different skills. Most of the time I'm playing acoustic guitar, and we're playing in like record label offices and like doing like showcases and stuff like that. And like you're arranging songs that are like, he played a lot of covers at the time. So I was like arranging songs from the radio to be acoustic so he can sing. And then now I have to sing harmonies, not in a loud punk band.
Right, but in a very intimate
with
setting.
a great singer. So it's like way different. So yeah, it developed a lot of those kinds of skills that I didn't have previously, and I did that for 3 or 4 years, and
it's quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, it was like it was cool, and he still makes music. He's great, and we're still friends and all that. But I did that for a while, and then I spent a summer being like a session guy for a country artist. That was kind of similar experience.
Whoa, what was that like?
That was like, I had never played country music before, but it was literally like same thing. It was like, yo, we need a lead guitar player or whatever. I was like, I grew up playing a punk band, so I wasn't like a lead guitar player in the terms of like playing solos and stuff at the time.
Sure.
And I was like, but I'm down because I just want, you guys are ripping gigs,
Right.
So... and that same thing, it's like you start developing these different skills, and it's just different experiences. You're playing big shows, and you're just you don't know it at the time, but now I look back, I was like, all of these different things have
fundamentals
like helped me get in the Beartooth gig even. So so those kinds of things happened, and then from there it was like, okay, I kind of got out of that, and I was like, I want to, play my own music or play in a band or do something with music, but there was at the moment nobody to collaborate with for me. So I was like, I guess I'm just writing my own songs and trying that,
Okay.
So long-winded story to get to that, but so then that was about 2015 or 2014, and so then I'm like just kind of messing around and playing acoustic guitar and writing songs, and then just recorded it, and that led me down another path.
So by this time, you are utilizing the things you had learned from basically the recording school, and gigging a lot, and then also I still kind of trying to wrap my head around. We need a lead country guitarist, and you're like, I don't play lead and I don't play country, but I'll do it.
Yeah, well, I was like, so I got into so much different music when I was getting out of high school. I was starting to take guitar more seriously because I was like, I did the recording thing, and then I was like, all right, and I'm starting to play this different kinds of music where we're playing kind of more like sophisticated arrangements on the guitar. So then I'm like, okay, maybe my way forward is I'm going to go to guitar school at some point. So then I start taking lessons to prepare for going to music school in a way. Right. So then I'm starting to, that's like, I got into like, of course, like got into like John Mayer and like all these different,
of course you did,
great guitar players, kind of like more modern guitar players that have that sort of pop music, but also like music theory
really
vibe.
well executed.
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't sound like they're really applying. I mean, that's what makes them great guitarists, right? Like it doesn't sound like they're applying theory, but they are absolutely applying theory.
Totally. And just like blues stuff and all this different stuff. So I started in that moment, I was starting to get into more guitar playing as a guitar player, like to know stuff so you can play lead guitar and stuff like that. So then when someone asked me to join a country band and play lead guitar, I was like, I'm like getting into this stuff. I've never done it really, but I'll try it. And they liked me. So I was like, okay, this is cool.
I've always said one of the most important things about touring is the hang with your bandmates, because you were spending, statistically, you were spending way more time in close quarters doing absolutely nothing than you are playing on stage.
Absolutely.
Right. So
like 98% of the time.
The hang is everything. Yeah. Right. So if you're smelly, a dickhead, or otherwise, then it's just not going to last. So
absolutely.
I've known people who hire touring guys strictly based on the hang.
Oh yeah.
So tell them to come hang. There's no audition. Like, we know you can play, but like, how are you?
Is this going to work? Right.
Yeah. Let's go get a burger and let's just see how you do. Is he a weirdo?
Yeah, man.
That's the thing.
That is such a important aspect of this kind of life, is like, well, I don't want to say no other, but like there are very few other like scenarios where your coworkers are like living with you in close proximity like all of the time, every day, especially as like now I'm like, all of us in our band are getting to be in their 30s and stuff. It's like,
right.
Right.
Everyone's getting a little bit more cranky, a little bit more like,
you kind of tolerate a little less about a few things, but yeah, I mean, it's so important, and it's important that works, and it's probably more important than the skill level that you bring to the table,
Totally.
Yeah.
So you go from punk bands to playing singer-songwriter, then country band, then you start doing your own solo stuff. Where did you go with your solo stuff? Because from what I saw, it was kind of songwriter-y, but also towards the later stuff, like you posted a video about a year or so ago, which was like a synthy, like an 80s, 80s thing. And you definitely have like an 80s, like your taste in guitar, it's pretty 80s.
It's pretty 80s lately, I'd say. Yeah.
Where does that come from?
It's that project is like, so our touring year is, the last few years have been like pretty consolidated. We'll be busy.
Big blocks.
Yeah, we'll be like busy from like March until October, and then we'll have like a 2 or 3 month break. And that kind of was born out of the 3 month break, and a lot of those sound, like that 80s revival sound has kind of really been kicked up the last couple of years. So I was like,
totally.
I literally was like, I'm just take a crack at this, and just write a few songs, Thank you.
It's good. It's really catchy.
Thank you, man. It was a lot of fun. I should get back into it, and I probably will once we have another decent break.
I think that's why it's good. Like, I can just hear you having just a good time, because you don't have any, you're not writing for a label. You're not writing for literally anybody but yourself.
It's fun. Yeah. Right? And so I'd never made any music like that before, and
that's hilarious.
Because it's always been in the scope of like, I mean, like I made like an acoustic EP, which was, that's kind of singer-songwritery in a different way, and then I played in like basically like an emo band after that, which was like sick. A continuation of my solo stuff, but in band form. And then, but I'd never done anything that was like, I'm gonna try to, I say me and I was collaborating with Ashi, who plays bass in Beartooth, and we were just trying to write catchy songs. Never just tried to just approach it that way and just have fun and make it like lighthearted. And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of the Mighty Tooth, making the leap from everything you'd learned, and now you're playing. Now you're. When did you join Beartooth?
I started playing in 2019.
Okay.
And I joined in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going from that, even venue size wise, what was that like?
Shocking.
I mean, I can't. I have to imagine like that's still, no matter how much experience you have gigging, you're just like, oh fuck.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of times where you in the moment, you don't really have the presence of mind to react.
Yeah.
Like there's sometimes I'll look at videos or something that I'm looking back, I'm like, oh man, this was crazy. And at the time I'm just like, just on the rocket ride. Like, I don't know what's going on. Or there's just no time to, I saw somebody said it about, I forget who I just read, but someone was like, about a similar situation where I was like, there's just no time to be nervous because you're just like in it, you know, and you're like trying to just, at that time I was like learning all these songs really quickly and then just go out and go out there and hopefully play good enough so the rest of the band can put on their show, you know?
So your guys' set, even, so right when you joined, I mean, the best of my recollection, even then, I mean, it's pretty long now, but you guys were still playing over what, an hour a night?
Yeah, I probably played like 16 songs or so.
That's a lot of songs.
It's a lot, yeah.
So did you ever get that moment of what guitars am I going to take, or what guitars do I have to get in order to
there was
pull
that
this
moment.
gig off?
Yeah, there was. Fortunately for me, when I was in that position where I was like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Literally, like Tony from ESP was like in my sphere. Bro. He like Tony's saw me play like my first shows and he was just like, whatever you need, I got you. I'll help you out. Like, we'll take care of you. Like,
shout out to Tony.
Yeah, dude, he literally is golden, man.
He's great.
He's amazing. But yeah, it's a wild thing. It's just like, dude, because previous to that, my last band, I was playing like Fender Strats through a 68 Vibrolux reissue, you know? With
this
like
is a fuzz pedal. Here you go. You're going to need this, sweetheart.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's just heavy as hell. And it's like super, dude. We play with like a lot heavy noise gating, obviously, and stuff. So all of that transition was interesting. And the heavier gauge strings and all the time. Everything. That time. Yeah, it's just completely different, but fun challenge at the time.
Were you when you joined Beartooth? Were you digital? Was your rig digital?
Kempers, yeah.
It was Kempers. Okay.
Yeah.
And now you went from correct me if I'm wrong. Kempers. You guys were on Fractals when we were out with you, and then you've now gone to Quad Cortexes.
Yeah.
Does portability become a huge issue as time goes on for a band like you guys?
It was, so when we went to the quads, it was strictly for because we're like, oh man, we can just put these in a pedal board and fly. Yeah. And we were doing a lot of that last year. So that was the original, I think. Yeah, and obviously they sound great. They do all that stuff is great.
They have to meet the minimum requirements of sound.
Because it's a competitive market, man.
It really is.
There's so much good stuff out there. But for us, it was like, we love their like the ease of use and all that, and we can messing with it on stage is way easier for us. So we're like, okay, no brainer, and we can have it out we could have it on a pedal board, have it out on stage.
Right.
We've now put them in drawers and stuff. So it's a really clean rig. I can't wait to show you later. But
I can't wait to see it.
It's sick.
So the Quad Cortexes are in the back. Do you still have a pedal board?
Got nothing.
Nothing. Totally clean on stage. Everywhere. Everyone is on.
I mean, Ashi and Zach have. I use Floyd Roses and stuff, so I'm like locked in. And but Ashi and Zach have tuners off stage because there's a couple of moments where we walk off and they can check their tuning if they want.
Damn.
But yeah, it's nice, dude. It's sick. Our show is so different than from when you came out with us last time. We don't have any cabs on stage anymore.
Whoa.
Whole different world. Yeah.
Wellness check.
Yeah. I will say this: we do have some kick-ass side fills that are loud as fuck.
You do. So we saw you. So I came out and saw you when you guys were co-headlining with Trivium.
Yeah.
And I think you guys were in a transitional, like gear-wise. It was kind of you guys were still on the boards.
Yeah.
Not as many cabs, and then you did have the side fills.
Yeah.
Completely cranked.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
Yeah, we obviously still love cabs and stuff like that, but we wanted a completely different like look for the show and all that.
Sure.
But we still love the stage volume, so we have the ears, but we have side fills for like us and the band, like the band guys that are just ripping like just guitars and kick drum and stuff like that. And then in front of those, there's there's another set of little side fills that's just like Caleb vocal, so he can
of course
get blasted by that, you know,
because he wants to pop out an ear and just go in
And
the crowd
surprisingly, man, I was like, man, this might feel really weird, but honestly, I prefer the sound of the stage now because it's more of like the entire band through the, you know, instead of like going up to a cab, even though there's something to be said for this, when you go up to a cab, it's just ripping, you know, guitar. But yeah, it still sounds really heavy and awesome. So don't be worried.
Okay. So as a guitar nerd, if you had to have a rig, if you had to do this gig right now, or any gig for that matter, if it was 1995, digital doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
What would your rig even be? Would it be just a giant stack of,
I mean,
of your Marshall guy, Boogie guy?
I would definitely like a hot rodded like 800 or something, right? Or you know, Caleb has this fucking modded plexi that's heavy as hell. He does. It's sick. And or you could just go diesel and just, you know, any high gain stuff like that. But dude, yeah, that would sound awesome. Honestly, man, at rehearsal of like 6 months ago, I like picked up like a 5153 just for my house.
Oh yeah. And
I hadn't been able to like literally open it up until we were at rehearsal. I put it through 412s, and I was like, man, I don't know if we'll ever get here with
moving air.
Yeah,
is such a big thing as far as like you're playing and you're like
dude,
psychologically, I think there's a thing going on
when you just know that something's just like screaming and operating at a high level of I don't know,
and hot
physics.
Don't
and
touch
hot.
Hot.
Yeah, it's just a fun thing. Maybe I do. I don't even know. Combination of those kinds of things, you know.
Okay.
I love the sound of a JCM 800 though.
I just got Marshall just made me a purple one, or like a royal blue with the Zach Wild style, like real small logo.
Very sick.
800,
dude,
so sick.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you said diesel. I just got a VH2 yesterday.
Can I just come over?
Dude, come on over. Yeah. You know what? We're done here.
You have all the fun shit.
Let's go have fun.
Yeah, that's so sick.
Yeah.
And then obviously you have to do like a super reverb or like an AC30 for some clean stuff. Of course. You have to have the AB rig or the stereo rig. Yeah. It's in the 90s. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that's such a bulletproof setup, right?
Bulletproof? Maybe. Well, maybe sonically.
Sonically,
physically might be a little headache.
Yeah.
Compared
it's
to
broken
now.
again.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
okay,
dude.
So to bring this full circle, how you have survived the music industry is being willing to just literally be uncomfortable and just go, you know what? Yeah, I'll figure that out.
Yeah,
right?
I think my biggest life lesson personally is just having an open mind. And like, there's obviously, it's like you, in some parts of my life, it's like, or, you know, when you like dream of things, you go, I want to do this, and this is how I feel like it's going to happen. And like, it's whatever. But like very rarely does anything go to that plan. I'm sure it's the same for you and everyone else. It's like you want to get here, but sometimes you're like going like this, you know?
Totally.
So
baby steps.
Yeah. And just like, you know, sometimes you're going, you know, if this is north, you're going fucking northeast, you're going northwest or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's just having an open mind and like you said, dude, being easy to work with and not an asshole is massive in this industry, I would say.
That's literally what I tell people that ask me, like, oh, I want to do what you do. I'm like, literally, it's not about like, because a lot of younger kids are like so obsessed with like, I want to be the best. And I'm like, you were never, ever going to be the best.
Yeah.
What you should be is on time. Because you will get a gig.
Don't underestimate that. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Totally.
Be on time and don't be an asshole. Mm-hmm. Like, literally, that's all you got to do in this industry.
Totally.
It's amazing. Will, I'm gonna let you get to not sound check. You gotta get to a meet and greet, and you gotta go do show stuff.
Yeah, and you gotta be at the show.
I gotta be at the show.
Yeah,
and I really, really appreciate you stopping by.
I am honored to be a guest on this new journey.
Yeah, it's fun
for you guys.
It's good hang.
And I hope somebody gets something out of this.
You know what? Me too.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Yeah.